Okay, so today Miss Fiends and I, who's down there somewhere, I can't see, I've got the sun in my eyes, carried on and came north a little bit, which was a bit of a surprise. My whole sort of travel plans got a little bit derailed. I didn't want to go to Hawke's Bay during a heat wave, which is expected this coming week, and it looks like it's going to get really hot, and Hawke's Bay is really hot this time of year anyway. So I thought, oh well, I'll go for a tiki tour and check out Taumarunui. I've been wanting to have a look there too. That didn't really hold me for too long. It was entertaining. I spent last night at the NZMCA park near there, at Periaka, I think it was called, which was, yeah, it was fine. Bit of traffic noise, but nothing terrible. I had a good night's sleep, but I woke up this morning and it was so funny. There was this old Bedford bus parked next to me, right? And yeah, I have no idea what time that turned up, sometime in the middle of the night. And the woman and the child, the daughter or young girl, got picked up by a guy in a ute. And when I walked past it, that bus had absolutely no legit stickers on it. It didn't have a COF. All these stickers on the side of the windscreen, they were all falling off. It certainly wasn't self-contained or anything like that. And there it was in the middle of the NZMCA park. I thought that was quite funny. I certainly wasn't going to complain about it. It wasn't being an issue, and I'm pretty sure the woman probably had a toilet in there. But I thought, oh my gosh, I haven't seen a bus that does those late night runs, you know, where people, oh, they used to do it all the time when I lived in the Nelson and Motueka region. You know, a lot of people didn't have legal vehicles, and if they wanted to go somewhere, they'd travel. Just collected a spider. They'd travel in the middle of the night, so hopefully they wouldn't get caught. So she must have turned up at some ungodly hours. She was friendly enough, and I thought, gee, people still do that, you know, they still drive around late at night. And the bus, I had a look at it. I was looking out of my window so I could see the roof this morning, and I think it's probably been parked up for quite a while. I don't know what the story was, but the whole roof was sort of covered in lichen and mossy things. I was just thinking, oh my gosh, that'd be so funny if somebody who was a little bit more uptight in the NZMCA turned up and worried about it. The other couple there in a caravan, they weren't going to do anything about it either. We had a wee bit of a giggle about the fact that somebody had done some overnight run, and they had a laugh about it and carried on our merry ways, you know. But I thought, wow, I haven't come across that for so long, with people actually doing that. Yeah, it must be quite stressful, I can imagine. But maybe she was only taking it from point A to point B. Maybe she was parked up somewhere and she was going to be parked up in Taumarunui for a while, or who knows. I don't know. I didn't speak to her. She went out, so I don't know what the whole story was. But funny enough, but I had a good night's sleep there. And then I sort of thought, oh well, I'll mosey on, and I didn't stop in Te Kuiti actually, because I was planning on it, but it was kind of hot and I'd had enough driving. So I'm actually in Otorohanga at the NZMCA park here for one night. I'm contemplating on where to next because I want to be somewhere near water when this really hot weather hits next week. It's sort of looking like it's in the 30s, you know, so it'd be quite nice to be able to go swimming. So I'm going to have a wee think about where I'm going to do that. So it should be quite interesting. But in the meantime, I'll just show you where I'm parked. It's actually quite nice. I'd never been here before, at this park up at this NZMCA park. It's got quite a bit of room. It doesn't seem to be overly busy. I like these kind of places. I go to all these really unpopular towns and unpopular places because they're quieter, they're not as crowded. If you go somewhere like Taupo, it would be just ballistic. That's why I got out of there. You know, they had a big concert on there, and I was thinking, oh my God, yeah, no, don't want to be there when that's happening. It's just too full on for my liking. I'd rather be places where there's a bit of room, bit of space. I don't have my neighbours snoring right next to me and things like that. And I've nabbed myself actually quite a good corner. I'll show you. And there's Miss Feeny. She's got to know what I'm doing always. But yeah, this is where I'm parked up next to a pile of grass clippings. And yeah, that's the parker. Got some neighbours there, they've gone out. There's a few in here, but not ridiculous amounts of people. Feel like going anywhere today. Oh my gosh, it's dusty in there from my gravel road. So I went for a walk into town and took some photos. I felt like having a day of doing that and shot a little bit of footage. I didn't take this camera with the mic on it, I took the other one, and yeah, it was pretty cool. And there's quite a cool sort of mural thing which I'll put in the video. But yeah, today I didn't really feel like going anywhere. I'm just doing a couple of checks and checking my oil and water. Since I've done a bit of driving, I like to keep an eye on those things, even though I don't tend to actually go through any. I had an incident once, quite a few years ago now. And what had happened was I drove from Culverden. I'd been at a house truck gathering at Culverden at Balmoral Reserve and had broken my grey tank valve off, and a woman there and her son offered me to park up at their place in Christchurch while I went to get a new one. He offered to give me a ride into town, which was really nice, to get another valve so that I could replace it. So I did that after the gathering. I drove there, and as I drove up the drive, he sort of waved me down and says, "You're losing a lot of oil." And I'm like, what? And yeah, sure enough, there was a whole trail of oil up the driveway, and I was like, oh my God, and checked the dipstick. There was virtually nothing on there. I was so lucky. And what had happened was there's a wee pipe that oils the drive gear for the injector pump and stuff, and the compressor, and that had broken off. So this tiny little pipe had spat out most of my oil. The underneath of the truck got a really good oiling. But anyway, so luckily I was in a really good place, and Terry, who's an awesome guy, drove me into town the next day, and we got a new piece of pipe with the olive thing, the attachment on it, and I got a new grey tank valve. And we came back, and while I put on the new valve for the grey tank, he put the new pipe on there, and I filled it back up with oil. But it was extremely lucky, and okay, it happened on the way. So I couldn't have really prevented it, but I think ever since I've always wanted to keep a really good eye on my fluids, you know, because if I'd travelled any further, I would have fried my engine, you know, I would have been all over. So it was so lucky that, yeah, that didn't happen. But yeah, it was a bit of a lesson. in itself about the things that can happen, and that a tiny little pipe like that can spit out all your oil onto the road, you know. So I have this thing now where I like to check certain things regularly if I'm doing a bit of driving and things like that. So I'm going to go on the other side now, which is a bit of a knack, because what I did there is a bit huckery. See this handle? I actually made that out of epoxy. I poured it because my old one fell off, but the whole lock is a bit broken, so what I have to do is push it in from behind. Actually, I might have to put the camera down for this. Yeah, the whole lock thingy is a bit broken. This doesn't stay pushed in, the thing in the middle there. So even though I made a new handle for it, this thing pops out and then it doesn't turn. Like when it goes like this, you can't turn it, so I have to put my hand in behind there and push it in. So what I really need to do is get a whole new lock mechanism, because it is getting a bit annoying. It's been like that for a while. So I'm just going to check my oil and do that. Anyway, so what I did after Otorohanga, because it has been a couple of days, I headed back north, back to Lake Karapiro, because at least I can have a bit of shade there. Swimming wasn't that appealing. I did try it, but there's a lot of weed in the lake, so it wasn't that appealing. But yeah, anyway, this video is a little bit late. This happened a few weeks ago, and it sort of the footage sat in my laptop, and I wanted to finally edit it because it was quite a cool journey, and it was quite neat seeing that lady do the midnight run and things like that. You know, I quite enjoy that, and I do love New Zealand's small towns. I really love giving them a wee shout out because they're just still uniquely Kiwi. You know, you go to the big cities, you go to Auckland and places like that, and you could be in any country, whereas in little towns like Otorohanga, Taumaranui, you are still in real rural New Zealand, which I really like. I like it. I think they're great, and I want to see small towns continue to thrive in New Zealand. So anyway, if you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe if you want to see more of them. At the moment, I'm still sort of sharing them all across Facebook. I'll probably stop doing that at some point, because apparently Facebook doesn't really like us putting links to YouTube on it. So yeah, I'm looking a bit red because the sun's actually coming in through my red curtains, so it looks a bit weird, but I'm not. I'm quite a normal colour, really. So anyway, lots of love to you all. Travel safe, and I'll see you all in my next video.